Before we begin today, a brief content warning. In today's episode, we are discussing Season 2, Episode 11 of Twin Peaks, otherwise called Mass Ball. This episode contains depictions of transphobia. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And I have some news.
Oh.
I know you have some news.
Do I?
Possibly have some news. you bought some Lego.
I did buy some Lego, yes.
So I have two bits of news. The first is that the X-Files / Twin Peaks alike Thimbleweed Park is getting a sequel.
Oh, neat.
This is the graphic adventure from Ron Gilbert, he of the first two Monkey Island games and the last Monkey Island.
I did notice, and I'm not sure if it still will be the case by the time this airs, that Thimbleweed Park is currently in the Nintendo Switch Summer Sale as well.
Yeah. It's not my favourite, I must confess. I don't think I actually laughed the entire way through, which was very confusing to me because it's meant to be funny.
Oh, okay.
Other people have said it's hilarious, though, so don't take my judgment on this, but I didn't find it as fun as other people did. Or at least, I found it entertaining to play, I didn't find it funny. And it's meant to be funny. But, yeah, two of the main characters are a male and female FBI agent in a small town in America.
Fair enough.
There's also a clown in there, and someone else, and a programmer, I think she is. Just your eclectic mix of people. Okay, the other news bit, though, is an interesting one, which is Twin Peaks cast members to tour again. Discuss David Lynch and That Gum You Like. So this is Cheryl Lee, Ray Wise, Michael Horse, Dana Ashbrook, Kimmy Robertson, Harry Goes, and the executive producer for Twin Peaks Return, Sabrina S. Sutherland, are doing a tour of various places around the US, including the film location of The Great Northern.
Oh, neat.
And the Palmer House, where the Palmer family live.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's happening in America. They do note that it's missing some significant people in that, and you haven't got Carl McLaughlin, or Sheldon Fenn, or Lars Boyle, or Mitch Emmerich. None of them are turning up. But yeah, apparently there's going to be specifically a thing between Laura and Leyland, which feels like one of those whole... I know they're actors in real life. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Would anyone like to pay for us to go?
Yeah, if anyone wants to pay for us to go to this, that'd be great. That will be the cost of the flights and the accommodations, and yeah. If you can hook us off that, we'll report back what it's like. Anyway, do you want to talk about your expensive Lego kit?
I bought an expensive Lego kit.
I'm sure we'll put photos up on the Blue Sky when you've done it.
When I build it, I'll do a step-by-step like I normally do on my own Adverse Camper 42 Blue Sky, just to show the build of... This is, of course, the X-Files Lego kit we were talking about last week. My God, I was up early in the morning ordering that to make sure I got the Scully's Lab. If you are thinking of ordering it, by the time this airs, it will be up for the general populace and not just sad Lego insiders like me to buy. They did say that the Scully's Lab set will be available until the 10th of August, but it is also while stocks last, and I did see another blogger mentioning the fact that he believed it was very limited stocks. So if you're still thinking of getting it and you want the extra kit, get in there fast.
Good advice. And you too can choose if you want to have Scully's Lab be Je Suis or Jose Chunks from Outer Space themed.
We were having this debate, weren't we, about if we leave the slab empty or put the alien minifig on it.
Yeah, so it's the alien minifig, it's Jose Chunks from Outer Space. If the slab is empty, it's Je Suis.
The Invisible Man.
Yep. But okay, if anything else, or we'll have to get to the episode where everything happens.
No, I've got no gossip. Just so you guys are aware, I know I have been terrible at updating our Get Strange 42 Blue Sky account. Please, do follow us there, do chat with me, do remind me to actually tell you when there's an episode coming out. I did put up the last episode on there, and then realised that we hadn't updated it in like 3 months before that. So yeah, I'll do better. The Blue Sky is the one that I check the most, although we do have other ones that will ping up if you talk to me on them. But please, do keep chatting with me. Do let me know if you've got anything on the go you'd like me to promote here. Happy to do so.
Hooray. So this is episode 18, or Masked Ball. Written by Barry Pullman, directed by Dwayne Dunham, and first broadcast on the 15th of December 1990. Would you like to tell us what Margaret has to say for herself?
Is life like a game of chess? Are our present moves important for future success? I think so. We paint our future with every present brushstroke. Painting, colours, shapes, textures, composition, repetition of shapes, contrast. Let nature guide us. Nature is a great teacher. Who is the principal? Sometimes jokes are welcome, like the one about the kid who said, I enjoyed school. It was just the principle of the thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Margaret. I suppose the chess is the bit we're meant to focus on there.
Yeah.
James goes somewhere on his motorbike. Who knows where? We'll come back to him later. Betty Briggs explains to Cooper and Harry that her husband, Garland Briggs, has disappeared before, but the absences were always work-related. She says the fact that they were in the woods is significant, and that Garland talked about the woods constantly. She will not divulge whether Garland was trying to contact a woodland spirit, but offers to pass along some notes from his bedside table. Andy reports he has found a matching scarf and ascot for the Milford wedding. Gordon Cole calls Cooper to offer his support in his legal proceedings, and says the DAA is sending down a top dog. Cooper sits before a panel of men led by Roger. Cooper says he's innocent of any criminal wrongdoing and confident he made the right choices. Roger says he expects a bureau man to defend himself, and Cooper says he's looking for moves from beyond the edge of the game board and talk spiritually. Roger warns him that he might be extradited for drug trafficking and murder, and says he may recommend a full psychological workup. Nadine approaches Donna at the school and confesses that she feels chemistry with Mike. Nadine says that Ed acts too old. James stops at a roadhouse and sits next to a beautiful woman at the bar. Her name is Evelyn Marsh, and she asks James to fix her car. Andy leaves a bouquet for Lucy, while Dick visits with a little boy named Nicky. Originally, they planned to go out for a malt with Lucy. In her absence, Andy offers to go with them for the milkshake. Cooper asks Harry and Hawke about the White Lodge that Garland Briggs mentioned swiftly before his abduction. Hawke says there are other worlds and that the White Lodge is where the spirits that rule men and nature reside. He says the Black Lodge is its shadow side, where people go to be purified when they die, and that will annihilate a person's soul. Denise Bryson arrives, presenting female, and asks to be called by her new name instead of her assigned masculine name. Denise asks to catch up with Cooper and says she'll get started immediately. This would be the DA agent that Gordon Cole mentioned was going. Mike is pumping iron at the school, and Nadine promptly shows him up by pumping a 600-pound weight. This leads the coach to ask Nadine if she's interested in joining the wrestling team, much to Mike's chagrin. Harry brings Josie a glass of water and tells her that she must tell him the truth. She says she used to work for Thomas Eckert in Hong Kong. She says she was a child prostitute and he pulled her off the streets and mentored her. Andrew Packard was a business partner who married Josie. Eckert wants Josie back, and she believes he is responsible for Andrew's death. Josie escaped from the airport, where she says she would rather die than return to Hong Kong. At the diner, Roger is reading a newspaper, while Hank and Ernie return. Norma tells Ernie that Vivian is back in Seattle and that he should join her. Andy, Dick, and little Nicky eat desserts at the counter, and Nicky pranks both Dick and Andy. James tells Evelyn that he thinks he can fix the car. She tells him that she doesn't know where her husband is, and that he travels regularly. She offers to let him stay in the room above the garage, and that she needs him to fix the car before her husband gets home. Ben Horn watches an old home movie from his childhood of building the Great Northern Hotel. Hank finds him in the office, and Ben reminds Hank of his recent challenges. Hank tells Ben that he no longer owns One-Eyed Jacks, and that Hank no longer works for Ben. Ben rants, drops furniture, and makes shadow monsters with his hands. Cooper expects a letter from Wyndham Earl. It's another chess move and a tape. Cooper listens to the tape and inspects the chessboard. Wyndham says the king must die, and that he will attain his goal at any cost. Dougie and his bride exchange vows. Dwayne interrupts the ceremony to say the bride is a gold digger. Harry pulls him out of the ceremony, and Cooper meets with Bryson at the wedding reception. Bryson has found cocaine in Cooper's car. She says it looks like a frame, but they need some proof. Bryson says that she started presenting as a female as part of the job, and continued doing so because it felt right. Dwayne complains to Pete about the wedding, and Harry tells Cooper he's had to separate Dwayne from Dougie several times. Cooper dances with Audrey, and Andy dances with Bryson. Josie tries to convince Catherine of her goodwill, and Catherine tells Josie to work as her maid or she will give her to Eckhart. Josie agrees and leaves. Andrew Packard enters and reveals that he and Catherine are using Josie as bait for Eckhart. Da-da-da-da. There's just too much in this episode, really. One thing I note before anyone else is we don't do guest stars as a matter of course in this episode just because there's too many characters in this bloody series. But Dougie, we discovered watching it, was like he's really familiar. Who is he? It's Tony J, the late great voice actor.
I think it was that great bit where I said, "Oh, doesn't he sound like the Elder God from Soul Reaver?" And you said, "Oh, but it's not Tony J," and it absolutely was Tony J.
Yeah. You kind of forget because it's like I'm sure there's someone who looks quite like him, but it could just be Tony J is like a perennial guest star in loads of different TV things.
So, Tony J is best known for his absolutely incredible voice. I think his best known voice acting role is Judge Frollo, the villain in Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, and to the gaming or Legacy of Kain nerds, it's as the Elder God. He's in Planescape Torment as the I can't remember what the hell his character is actually called in that one, but he's in that. He's Lex Luthor's butler in Lois and Clark.
Oh yes, of course he is.
But yeah, he's been in basically name a TV series in the 90s, and he's probably in there somewhere.
And even if you don't know him by sight, which we obviously didn't, you will recognise his voice. It's very distinct.
Huge number of voice credits. He's probably in the X-Files one time, but unfortunately he's now passed away, sadly. No one else sounded quite like him. It's much like Tony Todd. He's one of these people you get in to sound like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You've got one other guest star I feel you need to mention as well.
Why? Just complete blank. Yes. Okay, so here we knew Duchovny was here. We've been saying we couldn't remember when Duchovny came in, but it turns out it's actually quite soon. So here is Dave Duchovny in one of his first big roles, I think.
It was his first television role. He'd had 5 movie credits before it, I think.
And one of those is Beethoven, which is one of those blink and miss it.
Yeah, I remember him being in Beethoven.
These days if you watch Beethoven, you go, is that Dave Duchovny? And he's also in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, where he was a villainous character, I seem to remember. He's a villain in Beethoven too. He got typecast quite a lot before the X-Files. But yes, Dave Duchovny as Denise Bryson, a role that, as you said, is actually widely accepted and not one of the ones that causes problems these days.
Unusual. I was concerned, so I went and did one of my Reddit deep dives, that people would find Denise distasteful because a lot of transgender roles in the 90s have not aged very well.
No.
Especially when, as they predominantly were, are played by a cisgender male in the role. But people love Denise. And barring the fact that there are a couple of off-colour comments made by other characters, such as Hawk, who immediately misgenders her when she comes in, Denise is actually handled really delicately and is a really nice, non-sexualised portrayal.
Truman also isn't great in this moment.
No. I do like the fact that Cooper, I think, dead names Denise once, is corrected, apologises, and never does it again.
Yeah, because it's the second time he meets up with Denise, he says Dennis.
Yeah.
And she corrects him at that point.
I also think they handle Denise Origins very well, because Cooper kind of asks, I don't think he asks it particularly delicately, but he essentially asks what led to Denise transitioning. And she tells her story about how she was on a stakeout that required her to dress up as a woman and realised that she was a lot more comfortable in that persona and therefore kept it on even after the stakeout ended, which isn't maybe as nuanced as we get in something these days, but again, is actually a kind of really nice, really forward, again, not sexualised reasoning for this.
It's a surprise this early on.
Mm.
We'll put a pin in it as well, though, because we will... Denise isn't... She will be relevant in the return, and that's where the more famous David Lynch quote will originate, and I'm sure a lot of people know exactly which one we mean, because there's a very famous quote associated with her.
Yes, I think it's in the revival that you get that quote, but you often see, like, pro-trans groups using this particular David Lynch quote, which is a fantastic quote. I'm actually looking forward to getting to that one.
Yes, it's one of those... A lot of people have sort of picked apart that David Lynch has some possibly sketchy politics, because it's how he deals with women is often bordering on exploitative. I think he usually has a point to it, but there's a lot of nudity and semi-nudity going on.
Oh, I have an interesting point about the handling of women that someone on Reddit commented on one of the watch parties from about a decade ago.
Okay.
But if you like, I'll get to it shortly.
Okay, yeah.
If you want to just continue with what you were doing now. Just put a pin in that so I don't forget it.
Yeah, okay. I was to say, it's one thing I've heard people pull up David Lynch before is that sometimes it's not... He doesn't appear to be handling things delicately, or women tend to get naked in his films rather a lot.
Mm.
if there's an opportunity for nudity, he'll usually take it. But in like his trans aspects is that he handles it incredibly gracefully, and this Denise will outlive this series of Twin Peaks for one thing.
I'd like to think if you made Twin Peaks in modern time, you would actually cast a transgender actor in that role. But for the early 90s, this is incredible. When you compare to some of the things we got in the UK, like the infamous episode of the IT Crowd, which was filmed much later than this.
Well, 30 years-ish later. Exactly, and also just a lot of other cultural stuff that, unfortunately, people still need to work through. It's been a long time since I've watched this episode last, and I do remember the first time I watched it was you see Duchovny's name on the cast list. You wait for him to show up. It's like, okay, I know that the character they've just mentioned is Duchovny. This woman walks into the room. It's like, where's David Duchovny? It's like that slow realization. Oh, okay.
He looks stunning.
He looks really good.
His legs are gorgeous.
Yes, it's all, they've gone all out with this. I think my only criticism really is that her hair is really messy for someone in like the DEA, because I think you contrast it to Scully.
I think it's just a bad wig, to be honest.
I think it's a bad wig, but that feels like one of the oversights is that I don't think Denise would have actually let her hair be in that state.
I do like the fact that Denise dresses sensibly, though.
Yes.
It's not like Denise has walked in some completely inappropriate for her job get-up, like fishnet stockings and a bust halter or something like that.
A camisole or something.
You commented when we looked that Denise actually looks a lot like Gillian Anderson as Scully.
It was uncanny. It was like some shots, it's like they're not that dissimilar in how they dressed up and presented. That was actually kind of a weird one. It's such a weird future echo that no one would appreciate it at the time. Especially when the odd times Gillian Anderson has long hair, though. That's not often, though. I think it's like the pilot, and that's about it, really.
Yeah.
But there's a Scully vibe to Denise, which is kind of really curious.
Yeah, but I think Duchovny looks great in a skirt, to be honest.
No, I would not.
That look really does suit him. He looks fantastic.
It's such a curious thing to do as well. And as you said, it's also Coop fumbles once, and at least I think that's the last time he'll ever make that mistake, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think my biggest disappointment is Hawk in that scene.
Yeah, and it's one of those things though where people will like to tell you that like the Native Americans have a much more nuanced view of this.
It's thing. I can't remember which people it is, but whichever people it is that have the 7 genders.
Yeah, it's like Hawk of all people you'd expect to actually be far more open-minded about this.
But Denise offers her hand and he doesn't even shake it.
Yeah, and I think you're coming into that limitation then of, especially in the 90s, will be your assumption that the native person might be less modern in their thinking.
Yeah.
Because even Truman is struggling with this.
Truman's struggling, but he recovers a lot faster.
Yes.
And I do kind of like the slight sexual tension because Denise is clearly into Truman.
It's nice to sort of say that Denise in The Return is not an apology for this. It's very much a continuation of this with, like, David Lynch put a period in how he feels about Denise later on. Because one thing as well is this series of Twin Peaks, except for the odd episode, is largely out of his control. He's not writing it anymore. He's not directing it. He's doing occasional cameos in it. But The Return is David Lynch from end to end. It's all him.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can make any argument you want to for Denise at this point, but how Denise will be treated in The Return is unambiguous.
It's just such a pleasant surprise, a breath of fresh air, that you have an early 90s transgender character who is not a punchline.
Yes. Well, I'd say it's also kind of reminiscent of Gender Bender in the X-Files, where we were quite worried about that one, and it turned out, aside from Nicholas Lee's character being a bit of a jerk, it's actually well handled. It's like he was the only kind of sour note in the whole thing.
Yeah, true.
So I think it's possibly we think too much of, and again, Silence of the Lambs has to come up here, and it's the whole, they try really hard in the book and in the film in Silence of the Lambs to differentiate, and it's like, but a lot of the audience don't get the differentiation.
I don't think they do it quite as well as they
Not as
could have
well
done
as
in the
it-
film.
yeah,
The
but it
book
is there.
specifically does say that Buffalo Bill is not transgender.
I don't think he says it so many words in the film, but I think there's enough of it. They at least point in that direction.
I might have mentioned it on this channel before, though,
We
as
definitely
well.
have come
The fact
before.
that Ted Levine regrets the role because he thinks it set back, transgender, not necessarily rights, but the view of transgender people, the acceptability. Yeah.
Although we could go on a huge tangent here of a lot of people point out is like Laverne Cox in Orange is the New Black is when that series hit Netflix, it was basically an all-time high, and the religious right took umbrage at that point in time, and that's where everything has kind of skewed off the track. So
I guess it's coming in at a different time, though, when you've got the religious rights are able to have a bigger vocal point. Like certain people these days, like, for example, the author of the Wizard book, who have that massive online platform that in the early 90s they wouldn't have had.
yes, you'd never heard any of this stuff from them. And then I suppose you also get the minefields of you don't know anything about the author, and then years later they do a interview and you discover. I think Orson Scott Card is the good one for this. Is that a lot of people would have had no idea about Orson Scott Card's view on things and like appreciate Ender's Game and discover, holy hell, man!
Sometimes it flips the other way too, like Catherine Applegate, the author of the Animorphs book.
Yes.
Who a lot of people read in that one of her characters is transgender. He's not, but she's totally okay with you reading in that, because it turns out that Catherine Applegate does have a transgender child.
Yeah. That tends to help things.
Yeah.
Well, it's Colin Mockery.
Oh, yes.
And Eric Idle, and I think Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal's got a transgender sister, I think.
And it's very obvious. It's like, yes, these people are supportive because it really does impact their lives. And
and they've got that first-hand experience of the struggles that these people go through.
And also, they're their family and they're standing by them and not being horrible, bigoted people. If only other people were the same. Do we have anything else about Denise? I mean, they're hanging around. We don't know quite what they're going to do yet, other than Cooper has been framed in exactly the way they said they're going to, but she does seem to accept that it doesn't look right, but she can't prove otherwise. So that's at least something on Cooper's side.
Yeah, I do like the fact that people rally around Cooper. Obviously, Roger's doing his job and investigating Cooper and all the stacked evidence against him. But you've got Cole, you've got Denise, the people who know Cooper just know that he's not guilty of half the things that he's been accused of and are rallying against him.
Well, I think the weird thing is, he absolutely is guilty of other things because it's the drug bit he's not guilty of.
I wish I'd written down what he actually said, but there's a bit where Cooper says, I haven't done any crimes. It's like, apart from the murder, Cooper.
And all those illegal operations in Canada, yeah. I kind of want to talk about, because I laughed so much when I saw the synopsis for this one of Major Briggs' wife just saying, oh, he's disappeared before.
In a flash of light in the woods.
But it's when she says, oh, it's always part of his job. It's like, do you know that before the disappearance? Or is it always afterwards he comes back and says, no, it's fine, it was work-related. That UFO hovering over the house, that was work.
Got an image of it like, I think it's the UFO ending of Silent Hill 3, where she goes home and her dad's just having tea with a couple of aliens.
And Harry Mason, of all people.
Who's that, Garland? Just friends from work. Marty's there.
Well, finally, we have some terminology that we've been trying not to use for the longest time, which is the White Lodge and the Black Lodge.
Oh, I'm so glad we can say it now.
Except we can only say a bit of it, though, because we don't know how they're applied yet.
You have had the amazing terminology of the lurker on the threshold that becomes more relevant as this goes on.
Yes. And the function of the Black Lodge, which is curious, because I think ultimately it'll suggest that how mankind is seeing it isn't quite how the spiritual forces see it. Because I think it's true what the Black Lodge will do to you, but I don't think it's a good thing. But we'll get to that.
So we've got the distinction that White Lodge is where the kind of good earthbound spirits reside, and Black Lodge is this kind of trial that you've got to pass through to the next life, where you will meet your shadow self.
I mean, it's the Divine Comedy, basically, isn't it?
Yes.
You wind up at the White Lodge. You go through the Black Lodge to get there.
Yeah.
It's hell or purgatory or some bastardization of the two.
And the idea that, a bit like the weighing of the souls, you've got to approach Black Lodge with a kind of open heart and clear intentions, otherwise you won't make it through.
Yes. And I think the more interesting question that Twin Peaks at least is postulating is why on earth is a guy in the US military who's obsessed with the woods talking to Coop about this concept, which is very spiritual and very airy-fairy stuff.
Yeah.
There is, of course, a reason for this, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, thankfully we've finally got the terminology for this stuff.
I just love the term lurker on the threshold. It's such a Lovecraftian sort of name for it.
I'm willing to bet that someone on the writing staff was a Lovecraft fan.
It's the thing on the doorstep,
Yeah.
that sort of naming.
Well, it's interesting because this is the point still where Lovecraft is known, but at a kind of a more obscure presence, because it's like he hadn't blown up in terms of pop culture yet.
No, true.
So if you knew Lovecraft, you were interested in the early 20th century horror and sci-fi stuff. If you said to the usual person who's Cthulhu, they're gonna go, who's the what?
It's also, the mythos is something that at that time you might have approached from another means, like knowing that he was a great influence on like August Derleth or Stephen King.
Yes, or you might be a fan of Chaosium.
Yes,
they certainly existed.
Chaosium did exist at the time, who make the Call of Cthulhu tabletop roleplay game.
Yeah. And that's more, I think that's probably the most likely route you're going to encounter them unless you have the historical fiction interest. Or you're a fan of Poe and it's like, well, okay, who came after Poe? And there's a big, big name. And it's always interesting that Lovecraft has become so much more famous than he was for so long a time.
That's kind of how I found out about Lovecraft. Was I did a unit at university on the Gothic where we studied Poe, and then from that you got into people who were influenced by Poe, and of course Lovecraft immediately. And before then, I only really knew about the Call of Cthulhu and didn't know anything about the greater mythos.
I have it's probably not as kind of mysterious as it sounds. I can't remember where I encountered Cthulhu first. Because I'm sure it's got to be something on the internet mentioned Cthulhu and explain what Cthulhu was.
Yeah.
I can't remember it though, but because I can remember we come across other things which say, just, throw off Cthulhu and say, oh, of course, there's that thing. I
think most people encounter the Call of Cthulhu before anything else because it's his most famous work.
Yeah, but then a lot of people because I was watching a review of Dark Corners of the Earth, or the official video game, was one of the two of them.
Yeah.
And one of the reviews was sort of saying, this is the best Lovecraft game ever. And the story is so accurate to the book, and it's like, no, Dark Corners of the Earth is Shadow of Innsmouth. Call of Cthulhu, really different story.
I think there was some Dagon thrown in there as well.
Most Lovecraft adaptations, if the listeners have never encountered them, 90% of them are Shadow of the Innsmouth, no matter what name is actually appended to it.
Yeah.
The rest of them are much more rarer, and usually you find Cthulhu-esque stuff like, was it Underwater, the one with her from Twilight?
Oh, I remember the one where she encounters an entity at the bottom of the sea that is totally Cthulhu.
And it was just not as scary as it should have been. It was actually really boring for the entire film.
Yeah, I didn't rate that one.
We had so much hope for that film, and it just didn't pan out.
You do get some kind of nice Lovecraftian-esque ones that aren't specifically Lovecraft stories, like The Thing is basically Mountains of Madness.
Yes.
Without all the Lovecraftian kind of name linked to it and trappings.
Yeah. And it's kind of odd that John Carpenter sort of wrenched it back in that direction, because the history of The Thing is always fascinating with John Carpenter's remake of the 50s film is closer to the book than the original film was.
Yes.
Because of the shapeshifting, which the original film could not handle.
No. Well, it was made in the 50s.
It was. I mean, again, puppetry, though, they theoretically could have done it, but I don't think anyone would have wanted to actually go to the hassle. Anyway, so yes, we have Lovecraft terminology thrown around, which is always greatly appreciated. Helps make things creepier. There's an inconsistency in this episode, which I understand how it's happened, but it also feels someone wasn't paying attention. So, it's linked to Andy and Dick. Andy is arranging a bunch of flowers for Lucy. Good, Andy, you're getting the idea. Dick comes in with Nikki. He's got to be called Nikki because you're going to do the whole, is he actually a satanic child? That's where they're going with this, I can tell already. The pranks are very much there. We're doing like the film Little Nicky, or that one with Adam Scott where he's had the possible demonic child.
Oh, yes, I remember the one. I don't remember its title.
It's not Little Nicky because that's an Adam Sandler film that everyone slated when it came out.
Little Nicky was, well, I'm not a fan of Sandler, but I did think that was particularly abysmal.
Yeah.
But the one with Adam Scott is really funny.
Yes. But obviously that's just pastiche of The Omen anyway, so we're basically we're insinuating that Little Nicky's going to have this role. Anyway, that's not the problem. My problem is they sort of say, Lucy isn't here, she's at the Great Northern helping with the wedding. When we get to the Great Northern to see the wedding, Lucy doesn't appear in this episode.
No, that's true, she doesn't. I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's a great excuse to not have her in the early scenes, but you need to put her in the later scenes if that's where she is, because now you've made a weird inconsistency.
At least have her as a guest.
Yeah, you just need one shot of her dancing or something, just anything. But I think, obviously, Kimmy Robertson was somewhere else this week.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a weird problem with production. I don't know if there's much worth getting into with Dick and Nikki, other than I still don't understand why this man is trying this tack. I think you call it cringe while watching it, because it is just really terrible, schlocky soap opera rubbish that would be outdated in the 90s by quite a mile.
Yeah.
It's very old-fashioned.
There is a lot of cringe in this episode.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the diner was the pinnacle of it. Just like, do we need this?
It's each of them egging on little Nicky while also being kind of really frustrated when Nicky's pranks turn on them.
Yeah. Was it not as unbearable in the 90s? Because I don't know first time what watching this was like.
No.
I can't imagine it was that fun. Because
I know that sure on the Reddit rewatch parties,
they don't like it.
They're hemorrhaging members by this point as well, as people don't like this stage of Twin Peaks.
Well, we mentioned it before, this is the doldrum period where you've resolved the murder of Laura Palmer. Wyndham Earl, who we'll have to get to in a little bit, is starting to ratchet up, but he's too nebulous still to even be interesting.
The general consensus about the doldrums is that Denise and Wyndham Earl are the high points to carry you through it.
I can see that. And you've got a decent-ish villain in John Renault, who at least, unlike Leo Johnson, is threatening and is kind of scary.
Even though he doesn't appear in this episode.
Yes, his threat is actually quite palpable, which is good. But yeah, we have our 50s Danny shenanigans, which I could do without. And we'll get him out of the way, because I think even to Twin Peaks Ultra fans, what James is about to get into is notorious as it's barely watchable, even if you're invested in Twin Peaks.
From what I heard, even a lot of the actors, James included, and people like Mark Frost are not fond of this plot arc.
I'm not surprised. It's hard to get across the cumulative effect of it, because I remember being told this when I was being lent the videotapes by a friend who was taping it off Sky.
Mm.
And even he sort of said, this next bit with James is great, and it's like, it'll be fine, and nothing quite prepares you for just how detached it is. I mean, it doesn't help it's not happening in the town, but nothing. I suppose it's got the shape of a 90s soap opera idea, but because it doesn't involve anyone else, it feels superfluous.
Yeah.
And it should have been junked.
It's kind of this weird film noir light plot.
It's film noir night plot, and also as an obscure thing that most of the NEUians aren't going to get. It's like Friday night after 10 Channel 5 films.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
The soft core porn stuff they used to put on, where basically it's usually starring Sharon Tweed. That's the feel of it.
Interestingly, that's kind of leads into the point I wanted to make about women in Twin Peaks.
Okay.
It was one commenter, again, on a rewatch thread from 10 years ago, who pointed out that this little arc kind of changes the way that women are used in Twin Peaks. And in particular, it's the fact that we've had a run of Twin Peaks, which you're still kind of seeing a bit in Josie, with the young innocent woman who's being used by a much older man.
Yeah.
But now you've got things like Nadine's plot, you've got James's plot, and you've got Denise being brought in, which kind of flips the script a bit because you've got women who are more in control.
That's true. That's interesting.
Mm.
I mean, that is one aspect of Laura and Maddie, at least, is they were never in control of anything.
Yeah, but you've got James being predated on by this kind of, I don't know what we call a wealthy cougar.
Yeah, so actually we only vaguely know she's rich. She's at such an ambiguous quantity at this point, other than she's picked up this kid who just walked into the bar.
And in the case of Mike, we've got... admittedly, Nadine doesn't believe she's an older woman, but you do have this older woman preying on terrified Mike throughout it, in possibly my favourite subplot of the episode.
We'll get to that in a minute.
You got Denise, who again, strong independent woman.
Yep.
Who's come in and immediately has eyes for Truman.
That's very true.
And I guess in a way you've also got Doogie's young wife, who is a young woman, but at least if you take his brother's view into account,
She knows what she's doing.
she's a gold digger and she knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. So it has reminded me as well, there was one thing that they kind of implied here, but then kind of brushed over it, is that Cooper's suspended and then he dances with Audrey, and it's like, aren't most of your obstacles kind of missing now, Coop?
Yeah.
You've been shortcut out of every objection you ever had to Audrey at this point.
She was still involved with one of his cases.
I suppose so, but he still agreed to her, though, and she said, give me 5 years or something.
Yeah.
Because, again, I imagine David Lynch is going to try and twist his perspective back. Optimistically or charitably, I want to say that Lynch will presumably reverse this a bit, because he's trying to reflect reality, though, where, while there are strong women, a lot of times people come off badly in these kind of power dynamics.
Especially in the setting we have in Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
which is
Rich
early
men.
90s, but predominantly a town that's kind of steeped in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, you've presumably got things like Dallas as some kind of influence. Admittedly, I think I've watched like half an episode of Dallas when I was very young. I don't actually look into Dallas properly, but since it's all about oil tycoons and really rich men, I imagine that you've got that kind of thing happening in there as well.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those theories about what Twin Peaks really was, and I don't think it's actually that much of a secret, but I think it's the disparity between Twin Peaks and Twin Peaks The Return is Twin Peaks is reflecting back how soap operas worked in the 90s,
Yeah.
whereas Twin Peaks The Return reflects how prestige cable shows act in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's basically mimicking and subverting things like Breaking Bad, and Mad Men was the other one I heard bandied around. Poor Josie. I mean, we could talk about that, Josie, has someone forgotten Josie's plot?
The triad have completely vanished now?
Well, not only the trial to completely vanish, but it's that she's blaming this guy Eckhart for Andrew's death, who we now know isn't dead anyway. But it's like, didn't Hank go to prison to pretend to be somewhere else while he was murdering Andrew on a yacht? I seem to remember that was the pilot.
On Josie's pay.
On Josie's pay. This was the plot in season 1, and this was what he had over her at the time. Is that not true now? Did Eckhart hire Hank? But if that's what the hell's happened? So I think someone forgot something.
Yeah. It's got very confused.
It's got very confused, and it doesn't actually make a lot of sense unless... Well, okay, well, we know Josie is still not being entirely honest about some things. I think Andrew being alive is like peak soap opera. So I just had the thought, though, I kind of half wish it was unlike The Play That Goes Wrong.
Where the dead body keeps getting up.
Yeah. So The Play That Goes Wrong is it's meant to be a sixth form performance of a sort of murder mystery play, isn't it? They're meant to be amateur dramatic people doing
They're
it.
Amdram. I don't think it's necessarily sixth form.
I think they actually say sixth form.
Oh, do they?
The announcer says it's sixth form or something.
But yes, it's an Amdram production of essentially an Agatha Christie murder mystery.
And one of the running jokes in the play is that the dead body at the centre of the murder mystery keeps blowing his takes and entering scenes too early. And they just keep playing this up over and over again. And then he misses the cue and he's actually meant to burst in and reveal he's not been dead the entire time.
Yeah.
I kind of want Andrew to have done that. Just be in the background of scenes through season 1 or something.
I didn't remember or realise that he was actually related to Catherine, to be honest, until she said, "Oh, dear brother." It's like, oh, okay.
Well, we had this because we couldn't work out how her and Pete's relationship worked. And I think the end of season 1, they clarified that she owns the mill and Pete had married her because he was the bit of rough at work that she liked. And that kind of made sense.
But it kind of explains why Josie was hanging around if she's sort of related to Catherine.
Their sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So, yeah, though their attitude to each other is kind of the whole, whoa, that's been a breakdown in the relationship.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like where this goes. I know Catherine is the outright villain, but at the same time, turning, again, the non-white person into your slave.
Again, we get the 90s, this probably wasn't kind of seen as much of a whole oof as it is these days, but it's very oof.
I'd also like to know how big their house is, because we only ever see that one room, but apparently it's got servant quarters.
We've seen Catherine's bedroom before now.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's got 2 rooms.
I think more than that, though, saying, and Andrew saying to Catherine, our plan is, working just as planned. It's a case of, Wait, so you faked your death, and Josie thought she'd killed you, if that still holds. And then you framed Ben Horn by disguising yourself as a Japanese man? This was all planned. Did Leo Hank cause any kind of disruption to your plan at all? Or was it all orchestrated from afar?
Again, it's very soap opera.
It is.
My circuitous plan is 1/8 complete.
Exactly. Retcons and rewrites and different writers come in and have completely warped to the point of there's no way you figured this out ahead of time. No one can do this.
I'm picturing there's a Simpsons episode where Moe gets a face transplant or something and becomes a hot kind of young and the restless sort of star.
It's Days of Our Lives, actually, I think.
Is it Days of Their Lives? But they have the script that's colour-coded, and he misreads it and thinks they're going to kill off his character, and they say, oh no, that's on the Goldenrod pages, that means it's a dream. I've got an image of like that for the Twin Peaks script now.
Well, oddly, this comes up in the X-Files one, some of the X-Files production, because there was a thing where basically each draft of the script was on different colour paper.
Okay.
And I can't remember what episode it is, but there's one episode where they actually cycle through the entire stack for like the first time. It's gone right the way back to the original colour again.
Okay.
Which is deeply confusing to everyone involved.
Mm.
I can also say this is going to be like an anime cliche I hate coming up here, is that Josie isn't going to tell Truman what's happening. And, she's going to suffer and not tell her partner that she's suffering. I'm very confused how Pete's going to deal with this, because I wouldn't think Pete would like this.
Pete's quite fond of Josie.
Yeah.
And we've talked before about
It's the paternal side
it's
to it.
unclear if he actually fancies her. I read it as more of a paternal thing. Though he does say he loves her, you could still say it's fatherly love.
You could. Either way, though, I see him being comfortable with Catherine is mandating is going to be... That's going to be a weird one. I don't know how we're going to get through this.
I did love Pete in this episode at the wedding. On the table with... I've forgotten his name, but Doogie's brother, the mayor.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Where poor Pete's on damage control and looks like he's losing the will to live.
I do feel that... I think that's probably a problem with the writing as well, though, is that we don't know what to do with some of our characters.
Yeah.
Like, Pete, we have no idea what to do with anymore. I mean, admittedly, his utility in the previous episodes is actually all over the place, but they're really struggling in this season to know what to do with him.
Pete has given us 2 immortal lines of, she's dead, wrapped in plastic, and there's a fish in the percolator. And you hear those lines a lot associated with Twin Peaks. I'm not sure Pete really adds anything else to the plot beyond that.
No. I mean, it's quite funny to watch him struggling, but at the same time, Pete, you could just leave.
I think somebody's got to control the mayor, who's already tried to put a stop to the wedding in the does anybody have an objection part of the proceedings.
Who do we have left on this? I suppose we could talk about Nadine, who's living her best life at high school all over again.
Nadine's plot is problematic, but it's absolutely hysterical as well.
It's the kind of delicious irony is that Ed's trying to be faithful now, and she's not having it because basically she can't recognise he is older, but his behaviour at least is seeping through.
Yeah. She also hasn't kind of clocked on the fact that she says, oh, I'm here and Ed's at home. It's like, why isn't Ed at school with you?
Denial, obviously, denial. There's a lot of denial that's actually keeping this whole fantasy afloat for her.
Yeah. It's one of the things where it's problematic because if the genders were reversed, it would be very, very creepy.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange the way they do it because it's hard to see Nadine as predatory, in part because Nadine doesn't know she's being predatory. She thinks she's a 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
But it's there was the rom-com, is it Never Been Kissed?
Oh, where Drew Barrymore goes back to school.
Yeah, but she's like, 30-something-year-old woman pretending to be a high school student, and there's all kinds of problematic implications there.
Yes, well, there's the actual real-world example of this, because Never Been Kissed, while fictitious, is probably influenced by Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
Which was a Rolling Stones reporter or something, went undercover at a high school and wrote a book based on his experiences.
Okay.
So this has happened in real life. It's not just fictitious.
When you're putting an adult into a child's space like that, though, it's hella creepy.
It is, and I think they've had some flack for it more recently. At the time, it was kind of seen as a whole, it's a view into teenage life that you can't get because generally they don't want to talk to the people doing the research. So that's how it was framed. Yes, there are all kind of manner of problems with it. And I always remember that film because there's the moment when they have their famous couples throughout history ball at the end.
Okay.
And two of them, two characters who've recurred through the film but don't get a lot of focus, are dressed up as Hunter S. Thompson and Dr. Gonzo. It's like that. That's kind of genius. But how many of the audience are understanding what that shot means? Mike and Nadine, it is meant to be funny, and we still got Nadine's freakish strength.
And I also like Mike in this because a lot of Mike's reactions are just that look of pure, unadulterated horror on his face.
Deer in headlights.
Yeah.
He's not prepared for this.
But it's also the double take when everyone keeps seeing Nadine with, is it like 600 pounds that she's lifting?
Got the lowest thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose, actually, there's one little detail, which was the guy investigating Coop. Oh, there's two things about him, actually. The guy investigating Coop is one that it turns out that last episode when he took Cooper's badge and gun, is they've just left them on the conference table overnight, apparently.
Just there in the middle of the station.
But anyway, the other one, though, was he's reading a newspaper, which we had to look at twice, which was Leyland Palmer's Laid to West on the front page of the paper. And as you said, Maddie just escapes our mention.
She's on like page 7 or something like that.
I know she's in the paper. No one... Maddie is probably the greatest tragedy in Twin Peaks in that no one cares. Donna has bounced back. James, I think, is still in mourning, but only just. Donna doesn't care, though. It's kind of bleak, really.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Maddie, to be honest.
I think that might be everyone, because...
Ben.
Oh, Ben. I was going to say, because Bobby is in this episode and Shelley's on this episode. But Ben, okay. Ben Horn is... I kind of feel his moment should have been last episode. As much as the stuff with Bobby was quite funny, but Ben's breakdown feels like it should have been sooner.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to have recovered last time, but no, he's not coping well.
He's not coping well, and the final straw is learning that he's also lost one-eyed Jax.
Yeah. Which is, I thought of in two minds. One is a case of, well, I thought you'd have noticed that earlier. At the same time, illegal operation across the border, maybe that's hard to express in your accounts easily.
I kind of, in a way, appreciate that they've not made a big deal about it, in the fact that everyone's attention is elsewhere and Ben's empire is crumbling.
Yeah. He's still got the Great Northern, for now. But he's lost Ghostwood and the mill.
And now the casino as
well.
Now
the casino and the brothel.
And not to mention the fact he's lost his solicitor lawyer.
Yep. And his henchman. Both of his henchmen, because he's lost Leo and he's lost Hank now.
Yeah. We presume he's still got Jerry, but Jerry's been MIA for a few episodes too.
Jerry's unfortunately a guest star, so he's not as regular occurring. He's not core cast, unfortunately.
But then you've got this kind of almost tragic sequence with Ben where he's just kind of holed up in his room looking dishevelled, watching videos of better days.
It is kind of sweet. I mean, Ben seems to be one of the more complicated characters, and we do seem to be trying to make him sympathetic in a different way to how Catherine became sympathetic. Because I think it's Catherine, people turned on her and she sort of struggled her way out. Ben seems to be, people have turned on him and he's coping increasingly badly and crashing.
I'm not sure you can really sympathise with Ben because he is all kinds of awful, and this is somewhat cathartic seeing his just empire fall. But at the same time, it's kind of sad, the fact that it's gone essentially unnoticed when he's got his family living there with him.
Yes. Well, I'd say as well, though, I think I have some sort of sympathy, though, because some of this is coming via Hank, and Hank, we know, is a very unpleasant person, ultimately.
It's the Bobby effect that
I think Hank
is an incredible actor and he's really fun to watch.
He's a horrible person, though. But
I like the fact that Hank can turn on the charm and Hank can be very menacing.
Yes.
And you see both in the sequence, in fact, when he suddenly has Ben by the throat.
You kind of want to say is like, do you want to cast this guy as Leo?
Yeah. He would be a much better Leo.
Yes. Plus, I think, tell the truth though, he'd be too old.
He would be too old to be
Leo's
Leo.
position, he's too old.
But at the same time, he's got that charm that you can see attracting women, and he's got that dark edge to him that I think he would be, an abusive character like Leo very well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. On that note, we were speculating, is it Vivian, Norma's mother?
I can't remember her name, actually.
But anyway, the fact that she's apparently been ejected from the series, but Ernie is still here. And I don't know, it depends how much it's set up ahead of time, but it feels like the writers wanted Ernie and came up with the whole Norma's mother as a vehicle to deliver him to the plot, and now they've just discarded Norma's mother.
I love the bit where Norma has to tell Ernie, oh yeah, your wife's gone back to Seattle. It's like, oh, didn't tell her husband, apparently.
Didn't hang on the extra half a day for him to come back with his hunting trip so that they could go out together or something. No, just gone off to Seattle. It's we want Ernie for something. We're not quite sure what. Also, the fact he just spilled the beans there when Norma said, "Did you catch anything?" And he goes, "Oh God, I hope not." Oh wait, no, there's a big.
I love the fact it's not even a believable story. It's like, oh yeah, there was this 12-point book.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you couldn't get much bigger than that, can you? Is it being mounted? Oh yes, as we speak. It's like, I can't see how this lie could possibly come crumbling down.
Yeah, I'm surely you just say, "I tried but missed." That's the lie, isn't it? If this is your cover story.
If only the glare from the lake hadn't distracted me.
Yeah. For someone, though, who apparently is a confident trickster of some degree, you'd think he would be a better liar.
Yeah.
Is that, or the experience with John Renault and the brothel have not left him in the best of ways, which I think is what they were trying to imply, actually, with when he comes in.
Yeah, he's very clearly shaken.
Yeah. Or exhausted, or a combination of the two.
Or bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah, and realising that he can't do what he just said he can.
It's like, it's almost a big fish story, but the big fish always has to get away.
Yeah. It's saying you actually did kill it. It's that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
I think that might be everyone then.
Yeah, there were a lot of subplots starting in this episode.
Too many subplots for him.
Oh, you should possibly note Wyndham Earle, because we've got another note from him.
We did forget Wyndham Earle, and he's directly related to Coop. So we've heard Wyndham Earle. We know he actually exists as a person in universe, has a casting. And yeah, I don't know if it's an actionable death threat that Cooper's received, but we can understand what he means by king.
I thought this was interesting because there's an inference that Cooper has made a move since the opening gambit, which is how the hell is Cooper kind of translating these moves to Wyndham Earle?
I think this could be using it in knowledge from ahead of time. I think it's Wyndham Earle isn't treating an actual chessboard per se, or he's expressing himself as his chess moves, but they will also be translated into something else. He's watching Cooper's actions and interpreting that as the chess move.
Okay.
They're not playing chess in the conventional sense, or Cooper's trying to, but Wyndham Earle is not.
Yeah, I assumed when Cooper was making the moves on the board, it meant that Cooper had made his starting move somehow.
I mean, it's not beyond the possibility that Wyndham Earle has spied on him and can see that chessboard. Because you could see it through the window if you want.
Yeah.
But I think it's more, he's treating it's like Cooper's reaction to that first message that's what he's taking as the counter move.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that, because it might be clarified later, but I don't think Wyndham Earle is playing a conventional chess game.
Alright. Wouldn't know. I don't know how to play chess.
Next episode is The Black Widow, of which we think there's at least 2 ways that can be interpreted, depending on what happens.
You have Nadine as well.
She's not going to kill Ed now, is she?
I was thinking more Mike.
Well, no. But you only become a Black Widow if the marriage has to be involved somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsgettingstrange42@gmail.com.
You can also find us on social media, and please do talk to me over there. I get lonely. Hook me up if you have anything you'd like me to present at the start of the show. If you've got anything on the go that's Twin Peaks, X-Files, or Garth Marenghi related especially, we are very interested in hearing about it. You can find us on Blue Sky and Tumblr at GetStrange42, and on Facebook by searching for Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. Also, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I do stream live on Twitch TV under the name AdverseCamber42, Mondays and Wednesdays at 8pm GMT and Saturdays at 5pm GMT. I am currently playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Cult of the Lamb on PlayStation 5, and Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls on Steam.
Our theme music is envisioned by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Compotech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember...
Let a smile be your umbrella.